Hello, I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books. So let's talk about books. Today I have a reading vlog. I have already started filming, so you may have seen some aesthetic clips at the beginning. It had been a really lovely spring week, beautiful days, like in the high 70s. And today it's very foggy, and I think tomorrow is gonna rain. Isn't that the thing for weekends when you work all week? I have a few things that I'm up to. I need to do some pretty significant cleaning in the kitchen. I want to do a fridge clean out, get all of that food that is no longer edible out in the compost. I picked and cleaned and chopped and boiled a whole bunch of Jerusalem artichoke, and I never ate it. So I'm so annoyed at myself because that's all of my work. It doesn't really matter if that just goes back into the compost because I grew it anyway, so that's not really any waste. Just all of the work of mine is what's wasted. But I thought I would do a fruit tree blossom tour today, and maybe a little bit of like garden content. And I've been reading something, so let me go grab that from the table. I have been reading this play, Painting Churches by Tina Howe, and I have just gotten to Act 2. It's a 2-act play. I'm a little over halfway, and I am really enjoying this. I'd never heard of this before. I just picked it up at a thrift store last weekend, and it has some references to, I think, poetry. Yes, so there's a list of poetry that's referred to in here, and I was thinking after I finish this, I could read the referenced texts as well. We'll see how far I get with that, but so far this is a play about this elderly couple. I think they're in their 70s and 80s, and they are moving out of like their longtime family home to a smaller cottage. And they're in the process of like packing, whittling down all of their belongings. And their daughter has come to visit them, and she is a painter. She teaches at a school, and she wants to paint their portrait. So she's been like doing these preparations, and they're packing up their house, and they are just the most chaotic family. I really love the portrayal of this family. It feels so natural, and I think playwriting can really shine in like the portrayal of human interactions. Really enjoying my time with this. That's what I'm up to today. I think right now I am going to go out into the garden and pick a bunch of like broccoli florets, and also I have some perennial collared flowers, so also florets. They are not as sweet as broccoli, but they have like a really nutty flavor that I quite enjoy, and it is the season right now to get those little things as long as they don't have a bunch of aphids all over them. I just picked some daffodils, so now we have
some pretty flowers for the house.
I have a limited time because my husband is getting burritos. I'm super excited about it, but it's super close by, so I only have a couple minutes probably to talk. So yes, I finished reading Painting Churches by Tina Howe. I really, really enjoyed this. This is a very small story. It has 3 characters. There is a daughter and her 2 elderly parents. It feels very real, like their relationships and their imperfections and like the quirks of these characters themselves feels very real. And interestingly enough, the father in this story is a writer. He's a poet, and there is a lot of poetry referred to in this. So I thought I could go and read some of that. And I still think I will, but today has gone by so much more quickly than I thought it would. I had so much stuff to do. I still have things to do, like I have to do laundry. And I've been making pesto. I was gonna mow the lawn, but then it got really gloomy and windy. I really enjoyed this, and I'm happy that I picked this up. And now I gotta pick out another book. I should probably pick out something that was like from my TBR, you know. I'm gonna pick this, and nobody can stop me. I'm gonna pick The Symbiotic Planet by Lynn Margulis. Gonna eat a burrito and probably gonna play some chess. I've started learning chess and I've gotten so into it, but I am so new and so bad. I play the puzzles and I haven't played any real people. I've only played bots, and I'm so bad. I'm so bad. Specifically, I'm really bad at understanding what it takes to get a checkmate. Like, I just, like, I have a really hard time understanding, because I'm like, oh, well, the king can just, like, I have a hard time with it. Anyway, I'm really trying to work on it. I'm learning a new skill. I never played chess before in my life. I've been having fun, especially with like learning a new skill, but it is hard. Hello, good morning. So this morning I have been reading the poems that are mentioned at the beginning of Painting Churches, that there are excerpts taken from them in the text of the play. The poems that I've read so far this morning are 1593, There Came a Wind Like a Bugle by Emily Dickinson. I quite enjoyed this. Yesterday, it was very windy because a storm had to blow in, so I felt very close to that poem. I'm very confused now. Okay, so you'll understand why I'm confused. In this printing, it says The Sleep Child by James Dickey. And I looked this up, and what I read was The Sheep Child by James L. Dickey. And I have to assume that this is a typo in the text of the book. I guess I'll just review The Sheep Child, and you tell me if The Sleep Child is actually something. So The Sheep Child was stunning. This was an amazing, amazing poem. It is so creepy and so like easy to understand at the same time. And it's also beautiful. And it's basically like about how farm boys are so horny that there's like their own myth of the existence of this half human, half sheep that prevents them from doing that with sheep. And so there's this like initial introduction about like the idea of the sheep child and how it cannot survive. And then we have a second section that is like written by the sheep child. It is so interesting. It's unlike anything I've ever read before, and I thought it was really, really good. So I highly recommend you read The Sheep Child. I was able to find it online. Now we got to something that I just didn't understand at all. And there's like a lot of words that when put together, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. That's Le Monocle de Mon Oncle. This is by Wallace Stevens. This one's quite long. And like I mentioned, I just didn't understand it at all. This luscious and impeccable fruit of life falls, it appears, of its own weight to earth. When you were Eve, its acrid juice was sweet, untasted in its heavenly orchard air. An apple serves as well as any skull to be the book in which to read around, and is as excellent in that it is composed of what, like skulls, comes rotting back to ground. But it excels in this, that as the fruit of love, it is a book too mad to read before one merely reads to pass the time. So like, I feel like I only like 50% understand what's going on in that, but that was like what I kind of understood the most. So anyway, that one was definitely a poem where I was like, oh God, I feel like I'm reading a poem. I also read Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. This one is incredibly short as well, and I think is very well known. I'll read it for you now. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. Pretty good. Okay, and then Duller by Theodore Rothko. Don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but this one is really, really, it like just puts you in a place. I really enjoyed this. The line that is in this piece is the opening line. I have known the inexorable sadness of pencils, neat in their boxes, duller of pad and paperweight. All the misery of manila folders and mucilage. It really has just the absolute dreariness of like office work, and in like a really beautiful way. So I really enjoyed that. And now I have several poems to read from William Butler Yeats. That is The Man Who Dreamed of Fairyland, and I looked at it and it looks really long, so I thought I should check in before I read that. And then The Song of Wandering. Angus? Wait, flex where my head is in the middle and your arms come out either side of my head. I'm so ripped. I'm so shredded. I did just finish reading the last two poems, The Man Who Dreamed of Fairyland and The Song of Wandering. Angus, I loved the last one, and I'd like to read a little bit of that for you. I went out to the hazelwood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so like Tom Bombadil. I can't get over it. What am I gonna do? I am going to plant some asparagus. So I have these asparagus crowns that I got from Grocery Outlet. I have grown asparagus from seed before, but it has taken a really, 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 really long time. So I'd love to get some asparagus crowns in the ground. And then I just need to pick out a spot for them to go. And then I also generally need to do some garden maintenance. The weeds are coming in like crazy right now. I've got a lot of grasses growing where my garden's supposed to be. But I also have like family time set aside today, so I don't have like an absolute ton of time to do things at my house. That was a lovely way to spend the morning, reading some poetry. I have always wanted to do something like this, where you read like everything that has been referred to in a work. God, what is her name? I love her videos so much, and I can't remember her name. Let me look it up. Oh, Bibliosophie. That's her name. I think it was this video, How and What I Want to Read in 2025. She speaks about this project that she would like to work on, which is like some sort of mapping or noting of all of the books or works referred to in the books that she's read. And I love that idea. I have definitely made no attempts to do the same for myself, but I did really appreciate that this play spelled it out for me and that I was able to address them all. Also, the fact that it was all poetry and so that I could like have a complete experience. Oh my God. It was so cool. We got back home maybe like an hour ago. I'm really cold now, though. I did just take that blanket out of the dryer, so I'm gonna bundle up in that and start editing this vlog. So thank you for joining me this weekend. I hope you had a good time. I had a pretty good time. It felt a little short, I'm not gonna lie. I am a little tired. I did not get like a lot of like deep rest, but I did some laundry, I vacuumed in here, did some food prep, did some gardening, did some reading, and some resting. I will admit I definitely did do some resting, and then also got in some family time. So that is all I have. What is your favorite play? And what is your favorite poem? If you have one, if you have a favorite play and a favorite poem, please let me know. And maybe I can read those in a future video for all of you. That's what I got. That's what I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back again soon.